Are you excited to see your friends tomorrow?
I don't know.
Hi. And tell me, when else have you made a drawing?
Well, probably the most time I could get is probably when I'm most likely to get bored and I was in my room and I done all of my homework and I don't have anything to do. So I just take out my notebook and draw.
Okay. And what was the last thing you drew?
I probably draw the long neck woman. I mean, like, it is weird, but just that the other face that I made for a human seems okay. They are perfect to me. But this time when I draw it's a bit too different. The head is, well, not like human, but also not like animals, but just can look creepy to me. So I just draw that as a long neck woman. I never actually tried to look at the final product though.
And tell me, Trini, where have you seen this picture of the woman with a long neck?
It was back in the days when I was just 6, okay? And then I just watched a bunch of horror movies.
Oh, okay. So that's where you might have come across that. Oh, well, thank you for sharing. Now, today, Trini, we're going to talk about living in the rural or urban area. So what is the difference between rural and urban?
I don't know.
Okay, so the rural areas are the countryside, okay, where there's not a lot of shops, there's not a lot of infrastructure like roads and all of these things, but the urban is referring to the city.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think? What is the difference between, okay, your countryside and your city area?
Well, my countryside is probably like still like an urban area, and my side is still like an urban area.
Okay. And where would you prefer to live? In the urban or the rural areas?
I would feel like I would go to the rural area because I could climb on trees. If I could, though, I wish.
Do you like climbing trees?
I never got to, and besides, I was about to climb trees when I was little, but my parents didn't let me, so that is sad and boring.
Okay. I understand. Okay, so Jenny, I'm going to show you a small video clip, okay, about the rural and the urban area. Okay, and then you are going to tell us, okay, what is the difference between living in the rural area and urban area, and what are some of the similarities? Okay, but let's first watch the video clip. Just give me 1 second.
Oh, today's gonna be awesome.
There we go.
Because today we are gonna learn about urban, suburban, and rural areas. These 3 words, urban, suburban, and rural, describe where we live. Some people live in urban areas, some people live in rural areas, and some people live in suburban areas. We're going to learn all 3 of these different types of areas so you can describe where you live. The first type of area that we're going to learn is urban areas. An urban area is a city. It is crowded with lots of buildings and people. Here we have a great example of an urban area. The buildings are close together. They're very tall. Lots of people and traffic would come through here. It might be very loud. This is an urban area, a city environment. Here's another great example of an urban environment. Look at these tall buildings, the lights. This is a city. If it's a city, that means it's an urban area. This is an urban area. Here's another urban area. Lots of buildings, lots of buildings. They're all close together. Some of them are very tall. You can imagine all the traffic, all the people there. This is an urban area. Here's another example of an urban area. You see all the people, crowds of people. Urban areas are very crowded. Lots of people, lots of traffic, not just in cars, but foot traffic. Lots of people walking in urban area. Here's another example of an urban area. We know it's an urban area because it's a picture of a city. All cities are urban areas. This is an urban area. Tons of buildings, many of them tall, lots of people, lots of traffic. Here's another great picture of an urban area. All the people, all the buildings, everything's close together. Everything's crowded. This is an urban area. To review, an urban area is a city. It is crowded with lots of buildings and people. The second type of area is suburban areas. A suburban area is near a city and it's often called the suburbs. It's less crowded than the city. The buildings are smaller. There are less people than are in the urban areas. Here is an example of a suburban environment. It's less crowded, it's quieter than the urban areas. People live in houses with yards. They usually drive because they aren't able to walk everywhere on foot. Here is another suburban area. As you can see, it's less crowded than the city. The houses have yards. There's more space. It's a little bit more quiet. It's a suburban area. Here's another suburban area. This is looking up from the sky. You can see all the homes. All the homes have yards. There's a little bit more space. It's not as crowded. It's not as busy as the urban areas. Here's a picture of a suburban area, and you can see different stores. There's a little bit more space in between them. In an urban area, everything is totally crowded, but in a suburban area, there's a little bit more space. So our final picture of suburban area. You can look and see it's not as crowded as the urban areas. This is a suburban area, just a little more space, a little more quiet. To summarize, a suburban area is near a city and it's often called the suburbs. It is less crowded than the city, the buildings are smaller, and there are less people than are in the urban areas. The third and final type of area is rural. A rural area is away from the cities and suburbs, where everything is spread out. It is not crowded. There are not many people or buildings. Here's an example of a rural area. It's a rural area because it's not in the city or the suburbs. Everything is very spread out. There are not a lot of people and not a lot of buildings. Here's another example of a rural area. Look, there aren't that many buildings, that many people. Everything is very spread out. It's rural. Here's another picture of a rural area. Look how spread out everything is. You don't see the crowds, you don't see all the people, you don't see any big buildings. It's a rural area. Look at this picture of a rural area. It's close up to a house, but if you can look in the background, there isn't much of anything else around. Everything is spread out. There aren't that many buildings. It's not in a neighborhood. It's rural. Here's our final picture of a rural area. Look, it's not in a neighborhood. It's not in the city. It's not the suburbs. It's a rural area where everything is spread out, there aren't a lot of people, and there aren't a lot of buildings. To summarize, a rural area is away from the cities and suburbs, where everything is spread out. It is not crowded, there are not many people or buildings. So where do you live? Do you live in an urban environment, a city, or...
Okay, so do you understand the difference now, Jenny?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, so now you're going to complete this for us, okay? Let me just put this on the screen. Okay, so you're going to think about the similarities and differences living in the rural area and living in the urban area. Write your ideas, okay, in the circle. What is rural area? Okay, the differences of what you have in a rural area, urban, and then in the middle, what do they both have in common, the similarities? Okay, I'm going to give you 5 minutes.
So the rural area is probably like, you know, little people. Am I right?
So the rural areas like the countryside.
Yes, I'm right.
Yeah.
So the little people. Is it
There's not a lot of, there's a small amount of people, so not a big population lives in the rural area.
And lots of small buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, that's Vietnamese. Lots of small buildings. In the urban area, it's quite the opposite. There were thousands of people, maybe, I don't know, thousands of an S, I guess, of people. Wait. Thousands of people and lots of thousands of people and lots of tall building. Wait. Okay. Wait. Okay, so in the similarities, definitely
So,
the same. Huh?
So I want you to think of 5 things about the rural area, 5 things about the urban area, and then 3 things of similarities.
Oh, okay. So little of people in lots of small buildings. Is a little bit more quiet.
Mm-hmm.
More quiet. Wait, I spelled that wrong. Little bit more quiet. And kind of peaceful.
Yeah.
One, two, three, 4. Okay. There's not really. Wait. Have more animals?
Ah, now you're thinking creatively.
is kind of creepier in the night. Creepy. In the night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't damn. In the urban area, there's lots of store frequently and you always hear the people talking or kids laughing. I don't know if this is common or not, but yeah. Laughing. One, two, three, four.
One more.
So I know this is gonna be you rarely even see cats on the street or dog. Wait, I didn't type in anything right now. That's just a goddamn eraser. You rarely no, maybe you barely even see street animal on the side of the road.
Fantastic. And now, what are the similarities? Same things.
I only did
Do they need like water? Do they need energy, power?
This is definitely, I don't know. There's not really much of the quite similarities I see in the video though, but it still have animal. Wait, no, that's just rubbish. It still have people that still living in that place. people. Wait. Okay. No. And the second one is still no, too rubbish. We still got the nutrient we need. I mean, isn't that rubbish? No. Still got the nutrient. Wait. Nutrient. If we actually have the energy to what now? To hunt, to walk, to do building stuff, to live, to do healthy things. I know.
Right. Yeah, well done, Jenny. I like this. This is really innovative thinking.
And 1, 2, 3. That's this number 3. You can be in danger at any point. Danger. At any point.
Well done, Jenny. That's amazing. That was really good. So now we know the difference between the areas, okay, and the similarities, okay? Now, moving on to the next one. I want to know, Jenny, why do you think so many people want to live in the city?
It's probably the most easiest place to find, and you can easily get people help.
Okay. And do you think it is good to live in the city?
It depends, but I mostly like the rural places and rural area. It's more quite peaceful.
Yeah, it's more peaceful, like you said. And what fun things can you do in the countryside, like the rural areas?
You could climb tree, you could go fishing, you could hike with your friends, you could bring your dog, but I don't know if that allowed on plane or any law of the country, because I know.
Yeah, you can definitely bring depends on if the area, but most certainly. And okay, so Jenny, you're going to read for us living in a rural or urban area, the article, okay? And after that, we're going to answer some questions based on the article. So can you read that for us?
So the number of people living in cities is growing all the time. Over 80% of South Koreans live in urban areas. However, some people are moving back to the countryside. Is it better to live in rural or an urban area? Some people argue that the countryside is a wonderful place to reside. The first reason is that there's so much space. Rural areas have many fields, mountains, lakes, and rivers. People who live there feel less anxious and much healthier. The second reason is that it's much less expensive to live in a rural area. Accommodation and foods are cheaper. For example, a large house with a garden is often cheaper than a small apartment in the city. Other people argue that city life is perfect. To begin with, urban areas are a very exciting place to live. People who reside in cities can do something different every day. For instance, they can go to museums, movie theaters, and concerts. This is impossible for people who reside in rural areas. In addition, there are many jobs in the city. In fact, other best jobs are in urban areas. As a result, people move there so that they can be successful.
Okay, so to be successful. Now, based on the article you read, what percentage of South Koreans live in urban areas?
80%.
80%. And then why is there a lot of space in rural areas?
Well, like rare, it depends.
Pardon?
It depends. I don't know.
Based on the article.
Well, the rural areas have many fields, mountains, lakes, and people who live in the field ancient and healthier. And it's less expensive to live in a rural area.
And what things are cheaper in the rural areas?
Probably because there's so much mother nature to live outside. You just go outside and boom, bananas. Or maybe not. That's strawberries. No, I mean like fields or mountain or lakes or little bunny or little animal or hyena.
A hyena? Have you ever seen a hyena?
No, but I've seen people talking about it.
Okay. Would you ever want to? I have seen a hyena. Have you ever seen a lion?
No.
Would you like to one day?
Me.
Maybe. Okay. So, why are urban areas exciting places to live?
Well, it's that there's so much more you just get just from the view. And besides, not only the view is perfect, you can be friends with any person. And people go there to build up their life and their dream to be successful.
Okay. And why do people move to urban areas?
To be successful, as I say.
Yeah, to be successful. Well done, Jenny. Okay, so moving on to the vocabulary part, we've got the word accommodations, anxious, impossible, reside, and urban. So can you complete number 1 to 5 for us with the correct vocabulary word from the box?
I'm gonna pass the first one. I feel very blah blah when there are too many people in the room. I feel very anxious. Anxious. When there are too many people in the room. Blah blah problem affects cities and people living in them. Maybe past in many countries it's difficult to find reside. Wait, what's accommodations and reside? No.
So to reside is to live.
Okay.
Accommodations are the places, the place, like a home.
Oh, okay. So that's just accommodation, I think. It is blah 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 for human to visit the sun. It is impossible for him to visit the sun. When I'm older, I will resign. I mean, I don't know.
To live, to reside is to live.
Yeah, so I will live by the ocean.
Ooh, lovely.
Urban problem affects cities and the people. Okay. Urban. I could be wrong though. I'm done.
Okay. So when I'm older, I will reside by the ocean. I feel very anxious when there are too many people in the room. Urban problems affect cities and the people living in And in many cities, it's very difficult to find accommodations. It's impossible for humans to visit the sun. 100%. Well done, Jenny. Now, moving on to the next part, so the opinion practice. So you can match with the supporting opinion number 1 to 4 with A, B, C, or D.
Okay, so traveling in the city is very easy. People who live in the city can have more privacy. The countryside is much cleaner. It is much easier to sleep in rural areas because they are filled with factories, cars, and people. Pass because there's too much public transportation. Because it's really dark and nobody makes noise. So that's 2, I guess. Because nobody knows who they are. Wait, these are random. Maybe that. Let me check. Traveling in the city is very easy because there's so much public transportation. People who live in the city can have more privacy because it is really dark and nobody makes noises. Because nobody. Okay. Maybe
Well done.
I'm done.
Well done, too. So traveling in the city is very easy, okay, because there's so much more public transportation. Well done. People who live in the city can have more privacy, yes. Dark and nobody makes noise. And then the countryside is much cleaner because of fewer factories, cars, and people. Pollution, yes. And then the last one, it's much easier to sleep. The rural is because nobody knows. It's easier to.
I cannot say it's really. So
it's easier to sleep because it's really dark and nobody makes noise. Okay?
Oh.
So that's about easier to sleep. And then more privacy because nobody knows who they are. So those two, well, we just switched them around. Okay, now moving on to the refuting part. You're going to do the same as with this one. Okay, so there we go. Can you match that for us?
So it's less stressful to live in the countryside. The countryside is a great place for families to live. Cities are better places to live because there are so many things to do. There are so many kinds of food to choose from in the city. I disagree. People living in cities usually do only a few things and there are not many exciting activities. So 3 is A. I disagree. There are fewer shops and servers in the countryside. That's stressful. Maybe that. I don't think so. Children will get bored in the countryside. They will be unhappy and the families will also feel unhappy. A is C. There are so many kinds of food to choose from in the city. I don't think so. Many restaurants will give us many kinds of food. Not many.
Okay, well done. So it is less stressful and live in the countryside. Okay, I disagree. There are fewer jobs and service. Yes, so that is stressful. And then the countryside is a great place for families to live. And I see these children will get very bored in the countryside. They will be unhappy and their families will also feel unhappy. And in cities are better places to live because there are so many things to do. I disagree. People living in cities usually do only a few things and there are not many exciting activities. Fantastic. And then there are so many kinds of foods to choose from in the city. I don't think so. Not many restaurants in the city give us many kinds of food. Well done, Jenny. Got all of them correct. Okay. Now moving on to the next part. So we're going to do the supporting, opinion, and the opposing. So once again, Jenny, you're going to choose different colors. You are going to underline the main idea, the supporting ideas, the 2 supporting ideas, and then the examples.
Okay, so it's much better to live in an urban area. The first reason is that it is so easy to travel. Residents can use buses, trains, subways, or taxis. Public transportation in city is cheap and can be used day and night. However, the countryside has very bad public transportation, and everyone needs to use their cars to travel. The second reason is that people who live in cities can have more privacy. It is much better when people don't know everything about us in rural areas. In rural areas, there is not many people and everyone know everything about each other. So this is probably the main one. Supporting one is the first reason is that it's easy to travel. Supporting one, bus can use public transportation in cities is cheap and can use day and night. However, countryside is very bad transportation. And everyone needs to use the cars to travel. The main one again is that the second reason is that people who live in cities can have more privacy. Supporting one is much better when people don't know everything about us in rural areas. There are not many people and everyone knows everything about each other. To the opposing one, it's much better to live in rural areas. The main reason is that the countryside is much cleaner than the city. There are fewer factories, cars, and people. As a result, there is very little pollution. This is much healthier than living in dirty cities. However, reason is that the countryside is more relaxing. It is much quieter and much darker at nighttime. People who live in the countryside can sleep really well and have much more energy. People who get enough rest are less likely to get sick. 2. It is much healthier for people to live in the countryside. The main one is much better to live in rural area, and the supporting one is the main reason is that countryside is much cleaner than the city. The supporting one is there are fewer factory cars and people. As a result, there's a very little pollution. It is much healthier than living in dirty cities. Supporting one again. Another reason is that the countryside is more relaxing. Supporting why it's much quieter and darker at nighttime. People who live in the countryside can sleep very well and have much more energy. People who get enough rest are likely to get sick too. It's much healthier for people to live in the countryside. I'm done.
Well, perfect, Jenny. That was really good. Now moving on to our next part. Okay. Well done, Jenny. So, do you like taking the bus in the city or do you prefer using a car in the countryside?
Maybe car in the countryside because summer is very peaceful.
Okay. And which is more important, having a good job or living in a clean environment?
Having a good job.
And why do you say that?
Because I need a plate for food, okay?
And do you think that we would be able to provide our own food?
Maybe I can make my own, like growing fruits and any vegetables in my garden if I have a garden.
Okay. And do you want to live in a larger house in the countryside or do you prefer living in a modern apartment in the city? Which one?
Probably in a larger house in the countryside because when it's a larger house, sorry for the voice crack, is that when it's larger, there's my own house. It's just that sometimes, what's the guy name who checked the house? Wait, I forgot.
What with the person who?
He checked the house if the house is new as possible, and if there's paint on the wall, he will tell us to paint. I don't know
The
what that.
maintenance, the maintenance person.
Yeah.
There we go. And do you think it is easier for people to race in the countryside?
Well, it's probably is easier for people to raise in the countryside is that it's more peaceful, and especially when it's rain. But no matter what the place you're in, the rain is still the perfect. Except that when you're in the countryside and you have your own home, like an actual home, then you will be there with your comic book or your book or your novel or anything that makes you kind of quite peace. You're over there with a person, a cat, or by yourself, just looking out the window and it's rain. I think it's the best.
Yeah, it does. Well said, Jenny. And people who live in the city don't know many people. But people who live in the countryside know many people. Which is better?
Maybe people in the city don't know many people is better.
And why do you say that's better?
Because if people in the countryside know me, which means to be equal that they know my house. So no.
Okay. Now, Jenny, that was amazing. So for homework, which one do you want to debate? Number 1, number 2, or number 3?
Maybe number 3.
So in the future, more people will live in the countryside. So you are going to support and you're going to refute this for us, okay?
Okay.
So, Jenny, tell me that you enjoyed today's session.
Yeah.
Well done, Jenny. I'm so proud of you. So for homework, you will be doing that. And then, Jenny, I'll see you next week. Have a great week at school. And I'll see you next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Jenny.
Have a great day.